That's it.
Right, you've done it. Well done. That must be on my screen then. I'm muting myself again.
Right. Okay. So so you can see my screen still. So we can all see Sizewell B. Yeah. And we've got Jeff Yates again. Let's put him over here. Go away, Jeff.
There's an X there. Hit the X.
No, if I hit the X, we end up. Yeah. Okay. We're still sharing.
Yes.
We got it. Yes. Right. Hurrah. Right. Okay. And we're recording, and everything's good. So we've got Sizewell B.
Need to check we haven't got rid of Jeff.
No, he's still there. I think he's still there, Alan.
Yeah.
His one's there.
Jeff, can you just unmute and let us know you can hear?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Cool.
Lovely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. So yeah, so this is Sizewell B, lovely curved building with a bit of sun on it on Sunday. This was, and what I want to do is go from something like that, pretty okay, but not hugely exciting, to something like that. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, we're going to do the basic edits in Lightroom. So we go into the edit module, which you can go up here, or develop module, as we like to say. And there we are, that's on the develop module. And let's close down this side because we're not going to need that too much. And first thing I want to do is straighten it up. So we can use the crop tool. The shortcut for the crop tool is R on your keyboard. Good luck on ever knowing why any of the Lightroom keys make any sense to anybody, but R is for crop because there is a ruler there. So if we just straighten that up a little bit like that, so the edge of the building is straight, that's fine. Now what I want to do is, first of all, we're going to go to make it black and white. So to make it black and white, obviously the key press for this is V on your keyboard. Yeah, I know. Why V? I have no idea. V switches black and white on and off. You can do the same thing down here, I think. Switching colour that way. But anyway, one of those. There is a way to do it. Oh yeah, there, colour black.
In the basic window.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, black and white. But yeah, I've just always used V because you can switch much quicker using V, which is easy way to remember that is if you want it very black and white. The key presses on make no sense. Now you might not be able to see this on your screen, but there's some massive just there and there are some nice dust spots, mainly due to me changing lenses in a storm earlier on in the week. So what we'll do is go up here and we'll pick this tool here, which is the spot removal tool. Various choices with that. In this case, because the background is so plain, we'll just go with clone, and then use the square bracket keys to make it bigger. Get rid of that dot, and I can't actually see the other one anymore, but there are three on here that are annoying me, but I will come back and I'll get that in a minute. So that's actually tidied up the picture. Exposure wise, let's do a Dave Hobbs and hit the auto button, see what it does. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's given us sort of the kind of thing we're after. Usually with something like this, you can push the blacks down a lot further than you maybe otherwise want to, and push the shadows up a little bit, get a bit of detail in there. Just really try and push the contrast. With black and white, you can always push the contrast a bit further. And my favorite slider, the clarity slider. Yeah, just so give that a bit of a whack. The clarity adds sort of really emphasizes the blacks usually. And any of these sliders, if you want to reset them, if you just double click on the name of it, it will reset it back. But then you can just slide it back up to somewhere that will give it a bit of oomph. And oh yeah, having given it a bit of oomph, there's the other dust bunny that I want to get rid of. So there's my picture, and it's a reasonable exposure in Lightroom. So in a minute I'm going to go into Photoshop with it, any questions on that part of the Lightroom stuff? Unmute and ask away if you like. No, we're all good. Everybody followed that.
Chris, it's Paul.
Yeah.
On my screen, I can see top right in the sky,
Yeah.
sort of moi type lines. Are they on the actual thing, or is that just my screen?
I think that might just be the video compressing it. I think.
Right.
I don't see any.
No, that's all right.
Sort of up here somewhere.
Yes, that's it.
They gone now?
Yeah, they have now. You've
Yeah.
gone. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's probably just video things. Down here we've got some moray stuff going on, and here, but that may be just the viewing size, because you've got lines crossing each other. But other than that, it's okay.
Agree.
Hello.
Sorry, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Well, you'll have to take my word for it. That it looks all right this end. So now we're going to edit this in Photoshop. So on the editing menu, you've got edit in Photoshop, and let's bring that up. Happy 30th birthday, Photoshop. I've never noticed that before.
Oh.
Yeah, it's quite
No,
odd.
Chris, I agree with you. What I was saying, anyway.
Yeah, all right. Oh, hello, Stan.
Yeah. Hello.
Right, come on, get on with it. I think recording it ever slows everything down. Right, so here we are in Photoshop. Now, so what it does in Photoshop, although this is at the moment, that is an Olympus RAW file. When you actually save it, it will save it as a TIFF file or a PSD. You can't actually ever edit the RAW file using Lightroom or Photoshop. You always end up either in Photoshop, in Lightroom, create a list of changes to it, which Jeff showed you in the history, or in Photoshop, you actually just create a new file. So whenever I save this, it will change that .orf there to a .tiff. So,
What's the difference between TIFF and PSD?
TIFF PSD is a proprietary format owned by Adobe. Sorry. So, for instance, if Adobe decide they want to add something else into it, they can do it anytime they like. And other manufacturers may or may not support that PSD file, whereas TIFF is a universally agreed standard, so that anybody who understands, anybody who writes a bit of code knows how to understand a TIFF file. Yeah, so it's an open thing. So generally I use TIFF because then I can use it in any other product I particularly choose to, whereas if I use PSD, I'm limited to Photoshop.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So, layers. Now, here we go. There's always some sort of degree of panic in Photoshop when people start talking about layers. They always sort of say something like, I understand Photoshop. I can do a bit in Photoshop, but I don't really understand layers. So, I thought I'd just show you the kind of layers at their simplest. And the layers live over here in this layers panel. And at the moment, we only have one layer because there's only one image. We can create a new layer using the new layer button down here. We click that and nothing has happened to our image. All we have done is, if you imagine this was a printed piece of paper, all we've done is put a piece of clear acetate over the top of it. That's our new layer, and each layer is another layer of acetate that we can draw on. So if we now take the brush tool, let's pick a color, let's pick a red, something like that, yeah, because we like a red because we can see that, and we start painting. That lives on this layer here, yeah, so we're not affecting the layer underneath. So if we switch that layer off, it goes, yeah. If we move that layer about, it has no effect on the thing underneath. And that's all a layer is just like effectively a layer of acetate over the top that you can draw on and move about and do whatever you like with. At its simplest, when people say, they start talking about layers in Photoshop, that's all they're talking about. So we have two layers, and this is effectively your stack on the right hand side here. So if we had another layer on top and paint with a different color, blue for instance, and pick the brush tool, paint here, all the stuff, you can see this little tiny icon on the right hand side, the blue is appearing there. And then I can move this layer on top of that layer. So the blue layer is on top of the red. So that's our blue layer. That's our red layer. Yeah, and so they're actually sitting in a vertical stack. One sits on top of the other, no trouble at all. But as soon as we switch them off, the stuff underneath hasn't been affected. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Yep. Good. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's all we're doing with layers, is that each layer is another layer of acetone on it. Now the thing that catches everybody out is, say I want to move the background on top of those blues and reds, and I try and do it, and it won't let me do it. And that's because we've got this little lock symbol here. There's all sorts of things you can't do when a layer is locked, and for obscure reasons in the design of Photoshop, they decided that the background layer would always be locked. So if we just click on that, it will unlock it, and now we can move that on top. And because it's a solid layer and it's full and it's on top of that, the other two layers disappear completely. So that's our basics gist of layers. So let's just delete those two junk layers I created and decide what we're going to do. So what I want to do is, first of all, I want to create a new sky. So let's go back to Lightroom and get a sky. Luckily I have one here I made earlier, in fact I took earlier. Just a standard sky we got from somewhere, and I'm just going to edit that in Photoshop, and then it should appear in Photoshop. Here we go. So we've got an existing image, and the bit of the sky I want is probably about that much. And I'm going to do a Control J, which copies that to a new layer. You see over on the right hand side here, a new layer has appeared. And then we can switch off the background, and that's our new layer. So we've just got this little selection here. What I'm going to do, so I'm going to copy that to another layer, move it over there like that, and edit transform, clip horizontal. So we've got kind of two versions of the same thing. Now once we've got two layers that are happy with what we want, we can actually merge those two layers into one single layer, and I can then duplicate that again, and flip it vertically. So we've got sort of, I mean, that's your art there, isn't it? I mean, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it'll do it for a sky. And then what I might do is add some randomness. So with a brush, pick up this color here, do that and that. Select that area there. Copy that, and on our new image we paste it. And when you paste stuff on Photoshop, I didn't want that. Yeah. I thought I'd flattened it already. So, try that again. So there's our sky. It's not the world's most convincing sky, but we'll go with it at the moment. Now, if we want to put our sky on our background there, first of all we want to do is transform it. So we can do a Control T to transform. stretch it like that, and there's our sky. Lovely. I'm sure most judges will give us 10 points for that. I'm sure that'll work fine. So what we want to do really is we want to move the power station in front of our rubbish sky. And then what we want to do is, remembering that these are layers of acetate, if I go here and I take the erase tool, if I do that, if I erase through, cool, that's everywhere I erase through, the sky appears. So working on that principle, we can do something clever. So what we'll do is we will wait for the undo function to catch up with me pressing the keys. Thank you. And then we will take the quick select background tool. Select that area. So a quick select tool. So if you look here, it's selecting most of the background we want. But if we look in, if we zoom in a bit, it's done the wrong thing here. So we just reverse it. Do that by doing the Alt key. And then we've got a selection. One of the things I learned early on with Photoshop, that if in doubt with the selection, you want to feather it. So what does feathering do? Instead of having a very, very sharp edge, which you very rarely see in real life, it just blurs the edge slightly. So we're just going to feather that by about 2 pixels. You won't see any effect on there at all until we press the delete key, because now we've got the marching ants going around our shape. We can press the delete key and our sky appears. Everybody with me? Yep, I'll take that as a yes. Yep, yes. Somebody can hear me.
Yes, yes.
Right, yep. So it's a bit rough and ready. Now, so that's okay, but what we're trying to do with Lightroom, oh sorry, with Photoshop all the time, is to be non-destructive. Because if we make a cock up, we want to go back, and layers usually allow you to do that. Only we've just deleted a big lump of this picture, and that's not really ideal. So maybe there's another way of doing it. So we do a Control Z and another Control Z. We've still got the same selection, only this time we're going to go down here and use the layer mask tool. Oh, and it's instantly done the opposite of what I wanted. So I'll switch that around. So what is a layer mask? Well, the easiest way to explain that is if we look at the layer mask we've got. It's an extra layer on this that affects the layer it's on. So this is the layer mask here, and this is the actual layer here. And the rule is that white reveals, black conceals. So all the black areas painted on this mask will be hidden, and all the white areas will show. So if we click there, we can see that. If I take the sky off, you can actually see what the effect of the layer mask is. The layer mask looks like that. That's the black areas are hiding all the stuff on there. So there's just transparent at the moment. And if we switch the layer mask off, you get our sky back. So it's a completely non-destructive way of editing, but it's effectively doing the same thing as using the erase brush. It's just that at a later date, should I then decide that I want a bit more of this background in, so for instance around here it's missed a bit, I can then brush in on the mask, put that area back in, and then maybe that area there as well, because their look. I mean, I'd go in there with a lot of detail and just pick out the lines if I was doing it. But that's actually how the masks work. Everybody happy with layer masks, because these are one of the most powerful features you'll ever come across in Photoshop. Any questions?
Getting a better understanding, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slowly. And
Yeah.
slowly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit done, but basically, if you just think of this as a recording of your erase tool, and the black is the erase tool and the white isn't the erase tool. So if we just tidy that area up there and just sort of smooth that over a little bit, but that's all that mask does. So and if we disable the layer mask, we get our sky back. If we enable the layer mask, it hides the sky. So then we can drop our blue sky on there on our black and white building, which is not exactly ideal. So what we want to do is with this layer, let's hide everything else. So I've just hidden, all I've done is I've hidden the power station and just got our rubbishy sky. So what can we do with this sky? Well, the first thing we want to do is desaturate. So it's quite a pale, uninteresting sky. So we'll add some levels to it. So the levels box, if you're not familiar with this, you've got three. There's a lot on here, but we'll ignore most of them. You've got histogram, which actually shows from the darkest areas of the picture. There aren't many dark areas, to the lightest areas. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, this is where the darkest areas currently are, but we haven't got any in the picture. So what we're going to do is we're going to stretch the dark areas over to here. And we're going to stretch the light areas up to here. So as we've got a full range of the picture. That's what levels does. It allows you to set your black point, your white point, and your midtones. You can adjust that as you need to. So there's our sky. And while we're there, let's actually just transform it a bit and stretch it out so that it fits the whole page while we're there. But still not hugely convincing, is it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some motion blur. And that is a filter here. Blur. Motion blur. And the motion blur filter effectively does the same thing as if somebody moves through your picture while you're taking a long exposure, or if you're taking a long exposure and the clouds move, then it will blur the sky for you. So that's what I'm doing here. I've just blurred it. And you've got two controls with this. One is the angle, so you can change which direction you want it to go in. And you have to kind of work with whatever you feel works best. Go about there, something like that. And then we've got our distance, and that's how blurry it is. So hardly any blur. Moving up to slight blur to something like that with no subtlety in it at all, which is what we want. So interestingly, it's blurred off the edges here as well. So around the edge here, we can still see the transparency underneath. So let's just stretch it a bit further so as all the blur fills the whole page. Like that. Lovely. So now we've got our whizzing past sky behind our power station. And that's what layers allow you to do. You've basically just got allow you to edit one particular individual part and put the sky on, put a different sky on. Once you get the power of these layers, and there's quite a lot to it because we haven't done blending modes yet, but this is the basic idea, is that you've got layers of acetate sitting over the top of each other, and then you can use layer masks, which is what these things are, to be able to decide what to show and hide. And then I think the only thing I need to do is probably just use levels to darken that sky down a bit, drag the dark area like that, something like that. And there it is, basically in a nutshell, quick edit of what I did to make my power station look a bit more interesting, and top marks for the judge who spots that the sky's moved but the bird hasn't in the same picture.
Well, I was going to mention that to you in your Twitter feed.
Yeah, no, I just left it there to just for eagle-eyed viewers.
I noticed, Chris, that you didn't use layers for your blending mode or your adjustment layers.
I didn't. I didn't want. Well, I didn't want to go too much in one go. I just because layers scare people, and if you just get the basics first, like you know, the fact that they sit above on top of each other, and layer masks allow you to decide what you're going to show and hide from each layer. I wanted to just go there before it went too far into it. Yeah, one thing at a time.
Mm. Right. Any questions from anybody?
Yeah, if I may. Firstly, Chris, thanks. I've had a phobia with Photoshop for quite some time, and that was one of the easiest to follow tutorials that I've seen. But it still sort of I need to do things really one step at a time. Are we going to have the facility to re-watch these presentations? Because I think if I was to see this a couple of times, then it'd be really useful.
I'm sure we will do, if I can work out what we're going to do with the files and if I remember to save them somewhere, but we will give it a go.
Yeah,
Well,
that's great.
Can I just come in there? It's Paul speaking. We are, because of the coronavirus, and has forced us all to now get onto Skype. It's accelerated an idea that the committee have had for some time, which is one-to-one tutoring. And it means that from the comfort of our own home, a tutor can help a member to go through these sort of things on a one-to-one basis. Is that something you'd be interested in, Jonathan?
Very much so, Paul. Yeah, I'd really appreciate that. That would be fabulous, and I think it would really help me with my photography. And looking at this example with the power station, I took a fairly decent photograph of a place on the Isle of Wight, but the sky looks like an absolute dog's dinner. That's because I was just trying to do too many different things, and it ruined the photograph, really. So I'd be really grateful for that, Paul. Thank you.
All right. Well, I think any member, if they can have a think about it, and if they do want to be tutored by a member, if they can just let us know on perhaps the WhatsApp, the H2 WhatsApp group, and the committee will organise that. So any member, have a think, and we'll get that organised. Any more questions on Chris's presentation?
I never know if it's good when they don't say anything.
No,
Yeah, bloody good. Really liked it.
Marvellous.
Hold on.
Top man. Right, if I stop recording now.